How are these two correlating? There's been a lot of Western and American artists who have been very bougie, very diva-esque. What about, like, what is the Americanness that's not clicking? And diva allegations, Your Honor, she may just be here to stay. Hey guys, it's your girl Cameron and I'm back at it again with another video. And today we are going to be talking about the beef that American and Western audiences have with international acts. We're taking it there today because after the most recent VMAs, the absolute uproar surrounding Tyla and spark of conversation on other international global acts has really had me thinking. As Americans, I think we need to put the mirror up today. As the music industry expands and as other artists globally get a seat at the table, it's important for us to check ourselves, our biases, and leave that main character syndrome at the door. There has been much more of a merging of worlds, whether there's appearances and new award show categories being created and made. So from South Korea to South Africa, Nigeria to Puerto Rico to Thailand, I'm seeing more brewing discourse and disdain that I'm not sure that you guys realize you are participating in. From the fans to the industry itself, it's time we have that discussion. Honestly. So a lot of this will stem from the VMAs from several weeks ago, where Tyla, the new it girl, if you will, has been the talk of the town. There seems to be a widespread discussion about global artists, etiquette, cultural difference, respect, and a level of uncomfortability that I'm seeing that people are expressing surrounding her rise to fame in particular. And I want us to unpack that baggage. I think it's important if we want to see music grow, there shouldn't be any boundaries or limits. Considering more and more folks are getting into and are seeing major success in the Western market, from Tyla to Lisa to Thames, Burna Boy, Anita, Karol G. It's time that we're open and honest. Music is expanding on this mainstream and global level, and xenophobia and disdain has no place or productivity in this conversation. It's very multifaceted, as culture can get lost in translation, right, on both sides, from fans to the celebrity to the industry, from the media. So I want to talk about this whole phenomenon today. Like, comment down below, guys. Hit that subscribe button. Definitely tap in if you have not yet. And without further ado, we're going to get right into the video. So today we are going to frame this conversation with the Tyla situation. Tyla is in turmoil with American audiences, ? So the VMAs aired September 11th, 2024, and at the VMAs this year, Tyla won Best Afrobeat Award, which was an issue in itself for people, so we will also discuss that, don't you worry. But there was a bit of a conundrum. Let's just put it that way, a bit of a conundrum on the internet when she accepted her award. Change of plan, folks. That video is copywritten, audio and visual. She started her speech and the award was too heavy, as explained, so she asked one of the presenters to hold the award, which rubbed people the wrong way. And Hallie also tried to hand her the card, and Tyla, or some people said that Tyla kind of shooed her away. Yeah. So people were somewhat off-put by her asking both of the hosts allegedly to hold the award, even though a lot of people said that she was just asking Lil Nas X, he's a man, like, can you just hold the heavy award? With a lot of people not really liking her attitude towards the situation. Quoting, Tyla's a diva. The award is £7. She's being dramatic. She's always doing this. It's entitled. She should be lucky that she's here. That is just a couple of the quotes and tweets that I saw regarding the situation. When I actually watched it live, and it was a bit of like an awkward moment because the three of them were looking at each other like, you want to hold the card? It was a little awkward, but I didn't walk away thinking a whole lot about it. But to my surprise, I opened up my Twitter and it spun into an entire internet discourse as Tyla finds herself as a subject of quite a few of them, right? She's racking them up, stacking up like Tetris, aka my media training video where I kind of dissected a scenario and situation regarding her not answering a question, and that being somewhat off-putting to audiences. So there was a user by the name of Armand Wiggins who made a tweet about this instance, saying, quote, I don't think I like Tyla's personality. I think someone needs to check her because she doesn't understand American culture at all. She almost gives off entitled or uppity African. I don't know how to explain it, but it's very off-putting, and it's almost like she expects people to just fall to her feet. How are these two correlating? How did you get this from this? This is where I started thinking, I need to dissect this. I need to get into the root of this. Why are people so triggered by this interaction? And why are we once again bringing up ethnicity and culture?
Asking them people to hold her 7-pound award for 35 seconds was actually the second egregious thing she did, because the way she tapped that person helping her with her train, like, I got it from here, was uppity. Like, I hated every moment of that, because if you could take them next 15 steps without me, you could have took the first 15 without me. You get what I'm saying? Why was I even here if you could do it? But I'm gonna lie to you, when she tapped Shorty helping her with her train, it really gave like, oh, you're eating into my camera time. Like, oh, I don't want you here. It really gave like Heisman is what she really wanted to do, but she knew the camera was on her, so she just had to tap her gently. For real, it's starting to feel like the only people that get that Tyla needs this American market is Tyla's team. I don't feel like Tyla was looped in on that meeting, because the way that she always gives us the ick, the way that we never really walk away talking like, oh my God, I love this moment for her. Did you see what she was wearing? Da, 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 da. The way that these type of conversations always override the moment is like, bruh, do you even know why you're here? Like, here in America trying to use the American market. Like, do you get that, girl?
Tyla is from South Africa. She is not an American artist, and she's having a incredible year, right? An incredible like first 2 years of her career in the mainstream. And it almost seems unbelievable to people. It's like she skipped a line. She skipped the line. She won the music lottery. And it seems like people are kind of trying to pinpoint or find something wrong. And let's be very honest. Let's be very real. Pull up a chair. Get close. I'm going to hold your hand while I say this. Some of you guys have a level of disdain for global artists, and specifically African artists, if we are being completely honest. We need to check it. Uppity African comment that really set flames, people arguing back and forth, this turning into a bit of like a diaspora war, which we'll get into. My opinion, it's funny how certain people use words like uppity with someone like Tyla, but I was thinking, now we have morals. Now we uphold our artists to a certain level of or standard. When some of y'all continue to prop up folks who argue with other celebs on the internet all day, cuss their fans out, encourage their fans to dox people, support and endorse Trump, sell STD lip glosses, very direct, and glorify degenerate behavior. But we draw the line now at asking someone to hold an award. Now that's uppity, that's too far, that's off-putting. And that really confuses me. I think a lot of people need to look in the mirror at what they expect out of their artists and make a consistent effort to uphold those standards, because that's crazy to me. So not only did Tyla come to Twitter to directly address the misconceptions about that interaction, she also changed her bio to entitled uppity African in honor of that tweet. Basically like spinning the mother narrative, right? People were mad at this though. People were like, oh, she's not gonna last. She has a nasty attitude. Why would she respond like that? She was basically saying, so if I'm this, then I'm gonna be that. And I'm gonna be it to the fullest. If you think I'm an uppity African, then that's what I'm gonna be. Further dug a hole into this widespread discussion about perception and culture. And Americans specifically commenting on how she isn't, quote, familiar with American culture. She doesn't, quote, understand our customs, expressing overall frustration with her persona and presence in the industry, point blank, period. Let's chat in the comments, because my questions about the cultures and custom comments is that because America is such a melting pot, what customs specifically are we referring to that are solely American, right? Take out like the other ethnicities and cultures, right? Because we're not as homogenous as other areas and parts of the world. What is something that is solely American that she did not follow? Question mark. Because there's been a lot of Western and American artists who have been very bougie, very diva-esque. What about, like, what is the Americanness that's not clicking? But I didn't see how this recent issue turned into a cultural problem. What was so upsetting about what she did that pertained to a difference in culture? And then the diaspora wars started going crazy. And I don't want to entertain this too much, because I feel like these diaspora conversations are more reductive than productive. But somebody, in response to Armand Wiggins calling her an uppity African, etc., someone said this is what they want Tyla to do to prove that she's not uppity. Which, you know what, you snapped a little bit, because y'all are so off put by this girl. But Sexy Red is on the internet showing her butt cheeks every single day, wilding on the internet. And a lot of you guys, not all, a lot of you guys eat that up. And a lot of you guys are the same people who are so off-put by Tyla. And then someone wanted to take it a step further and said, regarding that Sexy Red video, this is what Black Americans aspire to. This and only this. Anything classy or somewhat decent is like they lose their minds. And this is, don't get it twisted. This is where we're going to put a pin in this real quick, because what we're not going to do is generalize Black Americans. We're not going to do that. Because through time, Black American women specifically have set standards and precedents that many artists aspire to. So let's not do that. What I do equally understand, and I'm also confused about, is people's disdain with Tyla's attitude and uppityness and attributing her culture and being African to that, and using that as a dig, as disrespect, as a way to invalidate her, especially when a lot of us do amplify people who are poor representations of anything. And a week later, Tyla went to a Usher concert, and Usher likes to dance on people. He played Water, and she politely kind of skirted away, and people were mad about that. And I'm like, oh my goodness, y'all don't want to like this girl. Joe Budden on his podcast went on a rant about her being rude and entitled, there's that entitled word again, for not dancing with Usher.
Awesome. And when Usher attempted to do his showmanship dance while her record is playing, come on, we in front of 20,000 people. Let's get in our bag. She dubbed him. She did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They say there's a reason for it.
I don't give a what the reason is.
The reason is that she's got a man.
I don't give a about your man.
Okay, so the reason
I'm not out of line. You on this stage. Usher got a girl. Preach your ideals somewhere else. We in front of 20,000 people right now.
So you saying somebody should go
Your
get some
album
morals
came out. I'm telling you what I'm saying. Your album came out ages ago. There's mad money being spent on putting you where you need to be seen properly. Usher Raymond does not have to bring your little new artist ass on stage. He don't.
She was in the crowd.
She was in the crowd.
I don't give a where she was. Tell that shit to your group chat. Once you hit the stage and you are a performer and your song is on and a legend is trying to highlight you, there is a way to do that do-si-do shit that she did. She did it in a way that looked real nasty, and I thought this before the VMAs. No, again, don't touch me is what it got. There's this Usher shit. There's this when she accepted the award. Girl, stop it now. Stop. You don't know that you getting up there to accept the award. Listen, I didn't even like how she put her hand on the person that was walking her to the stage. I hated that.
Now let's be very real. Joe Budden is an unserious, weird-ass old man. He was so mad that she didn't want to be danced on. She didn't want to dance with Usher because it's 40,000 people in the audience. Women don't have to do to me. It was a smart move, considering Usher concerts have been scandals. We saw the Keke Palmer incident and have brought some people unwanted media attention. So she's very much so within her rights to refuse or to politely decline. I can't help but feel like there is a deeper rooted issue y'all have, and I'm starting to think that some of it might have to be because of who she is, because she's a global artist. And let's break it down. I've seen people expressing a concern of xenophobia and a force of assimilation. Why does she have to please you to a point of her submission? By no means, I am not South African. I cannot speak for a community. I cannot speak for certain cultures. So I would love for people to fill in gaps. I'm welcoming this discussion. I've seen people say that because she isn't holding a quote, starving African narrative or image, right, that has been portrayed to Americans or the world, which is false, by the way. People are put off by that. And somebody actually quoted saying, I don't think the world were ready for an African pop star. And Tyla being colored with no impoverished background, just a pretty girl from Joburg with all that confidence, arriving when there's a massive gap in the market, proudly carrying her heritage is a mind. I genuinely do think that some people probably do feel this way. And I think it's important that we check all of these attitudes on all sides, right? Because we miss out on great artists, good music, and uplifting people because we're too busy nitpicking and focusing on stereotypes, cultural stereotypes, global stereotypes that have no place or relevancy in these conversations. It starts becoming less about the music, because it's not like she beat somebody up, spit on somebody, and kicked them in the face. There are many celebrities, men specifically, who have done a lot worse, and you guys are not this off-put by their attitude. No. Actually, a lot of you guys will defend these people to your dying breath. I'm not saying this is everyone's reason for not liking her, and I'm not saying you have to like her. If anything, it's better to be somewhat indifferent because you don't know these people. But there is a possibility that some of you guys are holding on to some preconceived notions that you're projecting. And I want you to sit with that real quick. Let's sit with it. Because the more that we have these global artists and international acts, there's going to be more of a merging of cultures, of perception that's going to need to be worked through in order for everybody to thrive in this market. I think some of you guys don't want to admit it, because some of you guys keep saying,
I don't like her, I just can't put my finger on it.
Well, to me, if you can't properly articulate your issue with her, why put it on Front Street and start a hate campaign? And you can't point to a solid example of something that she's done that was so bad to warrant some of these tweets. But what I will say is we might have a star on her hands, because the way that she's the talk of the town every 3 to 5 business days, she has a look, she has an it factor, she has a star quality about her, and diva allegations, Your Honor, she may just be here to stay. So let's talk about the idea of cracking the Western market, because that has been a goal for a lot of musicians since the development of the music industry. If we're being honest, historically, artists have strived to break into the American market, right? We've had the largest export of entertainment, movies, music, media, etc. And American genres have been heavily exported globally, and with us having the resources and infrastructure existing here on the business front. And the U.S. economy is also dominated by consumerism and consumer spending. According to the IFPI, which is the International Federation of the Phonographic Industry, the U.S. ranks first in digital music revenue, performance rights, and synchronization. But there's been a global rise, with social media creating a link with one another globally. Audiences now can directly connect with global talent at a click of a button. And mind you, roots have been growing in K-pop, Latin music, Afrobeats for decades, but it's finally actualizing in a very substantial way. And if we want to look at global music revenue growth statistics, we're getting into the numbers game today. This is for 2023. Sub-Saharan Africa had a 24.7% music revenue increase. Latin America, 19.4% increase, Asia 14.9% increase, MENA, Middle East, and North Africa a 14.4% increase, Australia a 10.8%, Europe 8.9%, US and Canada 7.4% for the year of 2023. So US and Canada was actually at the bottom for growth. However, we do have a larger market to account for. And the total global growth in music included a 10.2% increase in 2023. So we see it keep climbing up the ladder. And we look at the top 10 global recording artists in 2023, the proof is in the pudding. Number 1, Taylor Swift. Number 2, 17. Number 3, Stray Kids. 4, Drake. 5, The Weeknd. 6, Morgan Wallen. We have people like New Jeans, Bad Bunny, and Lana Del Rey on that list. This is from the IFPI. So this is industry-led research. And according to the IFPI and the top 20 IFPI global album chart, number 1 was 17, with their album being FML, Stray Kids with 5-star. Just to put into perspective, Taylor Swift was at number 4 with Midnights, NCT Dream at number 6 with their ISTJ album, SZA at number 7 with SOS, Stray Kids at number 9 with Rockstar, Travis Scott number 10 with Utopia. So if you guys are clearly seeing, for American audiences, for Western audiences, we're hearing some very popular names like Taylor Swift, Morgan Wallen, SZA, Travis Scott. But we're seeing that, let's say, for example, some of these K-pop groups like 17, Stray Kids, NCT, for example, are running with the big dogs when we talk about global artists. And while some Americans might say, I don't know who the hell those people are, our opinion, us knowing of someone's existence, doesn't make or break an act. There are tons of acts out there who are getting a lot of global support, and just because we don't know who they are, or just because we don't approve of somebody, doesn't mean that they're not worthy of having their spot or worthy of being at that top spot. And these charts are a proof that a lot of these groups And a lot of these global artists and international acts are climbing their way up the ladder. So actually, if we go back to the Tyla scenario, we can see in 2023, Sub-Saharan Africa had the fastest growth of any region in the world, with South Africa also remaining the largest market in the region with a 77% of regional revenues overall. So when we speak of someone like Tyla from South Africa, we can look at how water took the world by storm in 2023 by way of TikTok. The desire for difference also helped catapult her into stardom. Something different, fresh, a bit unique, but still reminiscent of past stars, right? She has a lot of Rihanna comparisons. She has a lot of Aaliyah comparisons. She screamed star. And while also being signed to an American label, Epic, they used a lot of viral marketing with some complaining that also her growth feels artificial. We've heard a lot of the industry plant conversations surrounding her name. And there has been some conversation too, bringing back the idea of culture, ethnicity, skin tone, etc., of fans kind of trying to put the pieces together that why is it her out of all of these artists to come before. And I actually came across a Reddit post where someone felt like an American label like Epic was pushing someone of her look, stature, etc. to follow a formula to create this level of palatability. So someone said, you'll notice that previously to Tyla, the women in Afrobeats who had a breakthrough in the US market and who were actually pushed by African listeners were all dark skin / brown skin. I think it's very intentional on Epic's part to look for a non-black girl, lighter skin, racially ambiguous girl from South Africa to represent Afrobeats on a global scale. Her current sound is not Amapiano, it's more Afrobeats. She sings in an American accent, so she is more palatable to the US market. I don't think that this is a far off basis because we all know, I've talked about this so many times, race, colorism, all of that does go into play about being pushed to some capacity, which anytime any artist is trying to go to the US market, there's always this discussion of crossover appeal, right? There has to be some part of you that can assimilate, which you can argue is even an issue in itself, that global artists have to play this game, as we all do, right? In the world, but specifically in this country that's not very homogenous. And is such a melting pot. But there are a unique set of challenges that global artists face. The conquest of the American market, a market that's so culturally diverse, where race and identity do play a large factor in figuring out your target, your demographic, etc. So yeah, identity politics that you cannot blame minorities in this country for subscribing to, often out of survival, will come into play when other people come into the equation, right? There's that level of realism, but having to unpack because there is a very complicated situation going on here in America. And I would argue on the other front, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think some international acts have also looked at America as one entity to tackle versus looking at it at this complex point of view, because from an inside perspective, it's complicated, it's diverse, it's vast. And I think that Tyla is an artist who's experiencing this push and pull. And I really don't think that it has to be this huge discourse around it, but because we're going through these, quote, growing pains, it is. So for example, when we can go back to that interview that she did at the Breakfast Club, and she denied the question about her race. I told you guys very clearly I understood why she didn't want to answer that. But realism does seep in where, okay, there's this history of being called colored in South Africa versus being called colored in the US. If you are trying to cater to a US audience, let's say you're also trying to cater to a Black American audience, for example, by large, there is a level of, okay, you're going to have to figure out how to navigate and adjust to be able to communicate and connect with these audiences. We can find that common ground. So to get into the last part of this video, we can talk about award categories and the global issue that we're starting to see. There's been a history of global artists being awarded and accepted into the mainstream by large part of, let's say, MTV, right? Creating more of a global reach within the rise of the 80s, expanding internationally and connecting people further. We also have genres diversifying, so people globally would maybe infuse their cultural music with an American sound, whether that's R&B, rock, hip hop, pop, and infusing that to create more of a crossover effect or something more palatable, which I don't like. But that's also how we started to see more of a mix and acceptance of other global artists and international acts into the Western market, and also further global collaboration. But you can think about how some of the biggest Afrobeat songs that we've seen that have been awarded to the highest level in an American market featured American or Western artists. Selena on Calm Down by Rema, or Justin Bieber on Essence by Wizkid and Tems, which was already a hit before he got on it, but then, they kind of tried to push it a certain way. So a lot of artists, or American artists, were hopping and are still hopping on Afrobeat songs to add a level of legitimacy to it, right? To be more accepted and palatable to the US market. And it shouldn't have to be that way. Other people's culture of music should be respected as such. A lot of people have to understand it's going to take time. This is America, okay? 1985 AMAs, there was a category for black music, for black artists specifically, that they would shove people like Prince and Tina Turner in. Tina Turner wins Black Female Video at the 1985 AMAs. Lionel Richie wins Black Male Video in the 1985 AMAs. Categories like Black Single Video. Categories like Favorite Black Male Vocalist. No genre, just race and vibes. So why couldn't these iconic black artists be in categories with other artists in 1985 when most of these artists would be and become, or were already living legends? So what I'm saying to you guys is, especially my international folks who have a lot of frustration with the way that American award shows might be handling it, or there's this growing pain because proof was in the pudding. They was just putting black people in a category and calling it a damn day. We still are dealing with black artists being thrown into urban contempt categories, or just being in the R&B category. So I'm not sitting here saying that everybody has to wait their turn and deal with the struggle because we had to. No, I think it should get better and better and more respectful and done right each time with the more knowledge we have. And we need to dismantle it step at a time. So let's talk about the history and date of global categories being added to some of these major American award shows. Afrobeats was added to award show categories very recently, the VMAs in 2023. The AMAs were the first major music award show to add the category in 2022. The Grammys added it in 2024, which I do think that Tyla snagged that Grammy. The AMAs created the first K-pop category in the major US award show in 2022. And the VMAs also introduced the K-pop category in 2019. But we do hit a bit of a speed bump with K-pop because actually the Grammys has yet to add that to their lineup of awards. But Bill Fremuth, who is the chief awards officer of the Recording Academy, said, quote, "The way I see it is that modern K-pop really started in the 90s, which is true, and they took what was popular during the era such as R&B and bubblegum pop and made it their own." He said, "What we've heard from the community is that they consider what they are creating to be pop music." So understandably, right, K-pop's a little different. It's more difficult to define it from ordinary pop, making it less of a cultural thing, right? Like, okay, this is uniquely like a Korean style of pop versus taking other elements. So there's even an argument they should probably just be included in the pop category. So for instance, at this most recent 2024 VMA Awards, Lisa from Blackpink was awarded the Best K-pop award for her song Rockstar, a song that's fully in English for the most part, and she's Thai. So there has been a debate with people saying, I know y'all, she's an international K-pop artist, technically speaking. Why does she have to be subjected to the K-pop category? So people are saying, like, when will global stars or global music be nominated for just pop music, right? Or just this kind of music? Because we see with someone like Lisa, she's not a little fish. She has about 104 million Instagram followers. She's part of one of the biggest K-pop groups in the world, Blackpink. And yeah, a lot of people will say, like, who gives a damn? Like, she won the damn award. She is a part of a K-pop group. But her team is clearly trying to push her on more of a global scale and to also start appealing to the Western market as well. So you almost wonder, why couldn't she just be in the pop category? Like Jungkook.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Like, that should just be pop, right? So you start to get into this loop where we're going to have to start having conversations and figuring out, how do we respect these artists and, like, give them their just due? Let them run with the big dogs. Let them be on with the counterparts, with the Taylor Swifts, the Sabrina Carpenters. Let's see how they fare. Like, we keep creating these cultural divides, and it's kind of like music is music. If it's not a genre thing, and we also kind of see this issue on a different level with Tyla's speech. When she accepted the award, she did make a note that Amapiano is not Afrobeat. Afrobeats, because Tyla considers herself to make Amapiano music more so, which some people argue that her music is not really Amapiano, like that last Reddit post. I'm not an expert, but Amapiano is a South African style of music. And Afrobeats, however, was a term that was coined and pushed in the 2000s and 2010s, describing a contemporary style of West African pop music with its origins in Nigeria. And Thames actually was in an interview talking about how Afrobeats is a Nigerian creation. So, you know, Tyla did get on stage and tried to differentiate that.
Because I know there's a tendency to group all African artists under Afrobeats.
So this part was also copywritten, but essentially she just explains that there's a tendency for award shows to categorize all African music as Afrobeats, and that she's representing her South African culture and representing Amapiano. Because what do American award shows do? They slap one kind of thing into here and they put everything in it. And if we care about music knowledge, education, and integrity, I think it's important to honor that properly. But I personally think that what Tyla did, I think that was important, that she got on stage and she expressed that, and she explained that all of this is great for cultural or global artists to really like put people on, talk to people, explain to people. I think that's how change is going to also happen, because I don't think that international and global artists should have to fully assimilate to be respected. Let's call out these categories. We've had people like Tyler, the Creator, basically say, y'all just throw me into the hip hop category because I'm black. It's the same thing. It's like we need to call out these institutions. We need to make sure that we are putting our culture on and making sure it's represented properly. But I understand other Afrobeats artists maybe being frustrated that she's continuously sweeping these categories, because these music institutions are looking at this and like, okay, these are all African artists, which Africa is such a vast continent.
And I've heard people refer to you as an Afrobeats artist. I'm always like, I don't know if she would term herself that way. How do you describe your music?
My music is alternative.
Alte, as they would say?
It's alte, but yeah, in the world scope, in an objective view, it's alternative, Afro, soul, R&B. But I noticed that any music that comes out of Nigeria, people just put it under Afrobeats because it's Nigeria, is Africa. So now the new name for African music seems to be Afrobeats, and I don't know that that's right.
I could see, you know, Afrobeats artists being kind of frustrated. So in conclusion, I do want to use this comment section today to work through solutions, to have this respectful discourse from culture to culture, from country to country, the semantics, how global artists are viewed. And if you are from somewhere else, how do you view these scenarios from the outside? What do you guys think of Americans and our acceptance of other artists? Is that frustrating for you? Is there something you feel like we can do as an American audience to not be so rough or elitist? Even when you are kind of set as like a standard from a music industry perspective, it's easy for people to become elitist. Like, my opinion matters more than anybody else's, because the American market is always fed first. We see it with concerts. I've seen a lot of European fans say, we get excited when artists come here because we're always a second thought. We've seen people in Asian countries be like, we're always excited when our favorite artist comes because we never get to see them. Versus in America, we're rubbing shoulders with these people every day. I would love to hear what you guys have to say, and I hope that this video makes sense. I think this video is a bit more open-ended because I wanted to start a conversation more than like put in my 100% input 2 cents. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. If you made it to the end of this video, why not subscribe? Thank you so much for getting to the end, and I will see you guys in my next video.